Hello everybody and welcome to VFR. Today we are here in a rainy Nashville. It's pretty dreary. We're going to be doing a quick VATSIM flight up back to our home base at KDCA, Washington National. So we're on VATSIM. We're going to hop through. I'm going to request clearance here shortly. We'll get the airplane all fired up and we will head on out. Not a ton of activity right now, but we do have ground and approach here at Nashville, and hopefully a center will pop on here at some point. Okay, so we're about set up. We have just the bare bones parts of the flight plan. I'm going to make sure that it's all right. Who knows with the weather? And yeah, we're going to call up ground here, get our clearance, and hopefully get on the road. Nashville ground, Appalachian 3251, radio check.
Appalachian 3251, Nashville ground, 5x5, how many?
Nashville ground, Appalachian 3251, we're a type CRJ-700. We are looking to pick up an IFR clearance to KDCA. We have information, Mike.
Thanks for Mike, Appalachian 3251. Where are you located?
Gate 1, 3251.
Roger that, stand by.
While they're working that, we'll make sure we're all set up. We got left and right reversers armed. We'll hit all our trim buttons. It's always a fine art where you place the requesting of the clearance. Because I don't want to set up the FMS all the way because they're probably going to reroute us.
Appalachian 3251, clearance ready by ready to copy.
Ready to copy, 3251.
Appalachian 3251, cleared to Regan International Airport via the Chatham 3 departure swap transition. Climb and maintain 4,000, expect 350, 5 minutes. Departure frequency is 118.4 and squawk 0401.
All right, we are cleared to Regan National via the Chatham 3 swap transition. I will climb and maintain 4,000, expecting flight level 350, 5 minutes after departure. Departure on 118.4 and squawking 0401.
Appalachian 3251, readback is correct. Expect runway 20 center for departure. Pushback at your discretion. Call me for taxi.
20 center for departure and pushback at our discretion. We will call ready for taxi. Appalachian 3251, thanks.
Intentional aircraft, Nashville information. Oscar is current on 2992.
Nashville ground, American 3251, ready to taxi.
Appalachian 3251, runway 20 center, taxi via Tango 407. Cross runway 31.
Taxi runway 20 center via Tango 4, Sierra 7, cross runway 31. American 3250, or sorry, Appalachian 3251. Ground Appalachian 3251, holding short runway 31.
Appalachian 3251, cross runway 31 at Tango 4, continue taxi.
Cross runway 31, American, or Appalachian 3251. Strips on. All right, so we're getting into position here for 20 center. Basically, pretty simple departure. Chatham 3. We're going to fly heading 201 or whatever ATC tells us, and then we're going to be turning, whenever they tell us to go to Oscar, and then out to Chatham, and then swap ultimately. No big altitude restrictions or speed restrictions, so we'll be holding with that climb maintain 4,000.
251, contact departure 118.4.
Going to departure 118.4. Thanks. Have a good one. Appalachian 3251. Should be pretty simple. We're going to roll out onto the runway once we get clearance. And I'm going to just get set with Unicom 2 because that's coming after. Nashville departure, Appalachian 3251, holding short runway 20 center.
Appalachian 3251, Nashville departure, wind 200 at 9, flight runway heading runway 20 center, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, flight runway heading on departure, Appalachian 3251. Alright, so we're going to fly runway heading. Should be 201. And the quick before takeoff brake temps are good. Reversers are armed. Cabin crew's been notified. We're squawking. We've briefed the departure. We've gotten takeoff clearance. Strobes are on. Lights are on. The last thing to do is go toga. Wrong button. Spoilers in would help. Rotate. And we're away, and we're into the soup. Gear coming up. Flaps coming up. Back into the climb detent.
Appalachian 3251, radar contact, say altitude leaving.
Climbing through 1,800, Appalachian 3251.
Appalachian 3251, climb maintain 15,000, turn left heading 110.
Climb maintain 15,000, left heading 110, Appalachian 3251. Alright, so we're going up to 15,000. And we're left heading 110.
Appalachian 3251, clear direct Oscar.
Clear direct Oscar, Appalachian 3251. And we're going direct Oscar. And this is a pretty good setup. I think if you're looking for a first VATSIM flight, find somewhere with a ground, with tower. I think that's really great. If you can have center above you, that's great too. But I mean, this is kind of what you're looking for. Nice, quiet.
3251, no further ATC available.
Going to Unicom, Appalachian 3251. Thanks, have a good one. Nashville traffic, Appalachian 3215 is departing KBNA. Direct Oscar, climbing through 12,900 for flight level 350, Appalachian 3251. Alright, so this is shaping up to be a pretty quiet cruise, But it looks like, we've been looking at the weather, DCA looks pretty good. So once we're getting down into Washington, we should be good for the rear visual. Washington, in real life, is landing east. So they're using runway 19. So we will do the same. We'll be coming in from the east and descending there. We are on our long haul into the beginning of the transition. Bravo Kilo Whiskey. So we'll brief that route once we're a little bit closer, but yeah, it's all quiet up here, but it looks like the weather's breaking, so we might get some nice views of the East Coast on our way back to Regan National. And I've been flying the CRJ a lot lately. I've been flying the CRJ a lot lately. I've just had that VATSIM itch to scratch, and the CRJ's been doing it for me. It's really a lot of fun. It's a really good airplane. We might have to do why you should fly about it. But I am very excited for PMDG 737. I know I shouldn't. I know I probably, you know, the right half of my brain is saying I shouldn't buy it, but it looks really good. So that'll be really exciting, and I think we'll have to cover that when that comes out. PMDG 737. I'm not so interested in the A320 variants. Even though I guess it's kind of a similar plane to the 737. It does a similar route. But, yeah, that doesn't quite move me as much. That said, I had to hop into the fly-by-wire A321X recently. It was earlier today, actually, doing some filming work. And it was good. It's come a long way, and it's just a little intimidating for me. Personally, I've been out of that for a long time. I haven't flown that in months. So there's a lot to relearn on the A320 side of things for me. But the CRJ's been a lot of fun too, just getting to know it a little bit better. I finally sat down and made my own checklist for it and cleaned up some of the things in the old checklist that I was using that bugged me. And so I have a couple edits after this flight. We're still very much in the planning stage of that. But that's one thing you can do, especially if you've tried to fly a lot of different airplanes. Those checklists, if you go through and just sit down, take the time, it might take a day, it might take, half a day of flying and typing while you're doing it. But once you get a good checklist that you know and you like and you've made, you can really then start to really tailor it to your flying style. I noticed something on this flight. I need to check the spoilers because I almost took off with the spoilers distracted because I moved the spoilers to get at the clear button because sometimes it blocks that click spot. So I need to insert a line somewhere in that checklist to make sure that's cleared. That's, top tips with VFR. So we do have someone kind of crossing our path here. I don't know how close we'll hit, but they're at about 3,500 above us. That's American 433. Looks like they're an A320 heading from Charlotte to Chicago O'Hare. You actually can see him right there. He goes, and that's a real person flying out there. All right, quick check-in. We are coming up on the Beckley VOR, which is going to be our transition to the TRUPS 4 arrival into Washington Regan International Airport. So, we are going... It's pretty simple. It's pretty long. We're pretty far out, actually, still. We have a few speed restrictions. Once we start descending down, we need to be at below flight level 280 and above 240, and below 280 knots at Ranger. Then Jarhead is going to be 260, and we'll just be descending from there, still at 280 knots through that whole bit. Once we get down to we're going to have to be at 250 knots below 13,000 feet. From there, we're going to be 11,000, 8,000, then descending into Fergie for the RNAV runway 19er. I think we'll be using the river. We'll be visually approaching, but we'll be using the RNAV and the GPS system. So it shouldn't be too terribly tricky until we get down there. There may be some hard winds down on the ground in DC. I saw gusts up to, well, let's see. A wind 8 knots. So it's not. It shouldn't be too terrible on the ground there. The last thing that I want to do is just check and see who all's coming in too. We do have one other arrival, an A321. Coming in from Boston. Should be in before us. It actually should be in a few minutes. We'll see. Yeah, they should beat us in. That's a United 354 coming into DCA. So we shouldn't have any conflicts coming in. And there's not a ton of traffic in the area. Alright, so we're now direct to Ranger. We're about 24,000 feet, so we're pretty good. We're going to continue descending fairly slowly. It's a pretty long arrival into DCA here. We're going to keep below. We're going to keep it at 280 knots for now until we hit hour. We're going to go down to 250, and then after that, we're going to be basically slowly going to 240, and then by the time we're on the arrival, we'll be down to 210. So we'll be managing the speed on the way down, but we've got plenty of room in the altitude and plenty of time to get down. Looks like the weather's clearing up as well. That'll help on the river visual. Alright, so we're on our way down. We are passing troops now at 11,250 knots. One interesting thing about this arrival, a lot of them will take you right over Washington Dulles, the other big international airport in the Washington D.C. area. Dulles is a lot of long-haul flights. You know, a lot more of the international flights will come in and out of Dulles. So it's another cool option, but if it's a busy day at Dulles, it might be more complicated. Alright, so we're going to descend now to 8,000 feet from, and then we will be getting real close to the RNAV for runway 19er. Go ahead and bring it in even more. And don't let the speed get away from us. Alright, we are on approach. We're going to give it the first couple knocks of flaps. And we'll bring the gear out. It doesn't want to nav quite right, so I'm just going to take control. Washington National Traffic, Appalachian 3251, descending via the RNAV 19 arrival for runway 19er, Appalachian 3251.
Appalachian 3251, just be advised you are 5x5 at this time for light sport 5 Hotel Victor.
Roger, thanks.
You're very welcome.
And we've done this and we've talked this through before. We are Shoot for 1700 at grays. Keep the speed. We'll let the speed come down just a little bit more. Right here's Key Bridge. We're at 1,000 feet. Pretty good. Just keep an eye on that speed. Don't let it get too low. Especially on this approach, it can be quite... Am I still have spoilers out? It can be quite easy to lose track of speed. National traffic, Appalachian 3251 is on final land runway 19, national traffic. Alright, so we're going to continue our descent. Over Rochambeau Bridge. And we are going to turn right and land it. Speed's looking good. Weather cleared up very nicely. Wouldn't have expected this sitting in the ground at Nashville. And it is a very satisfying approach to get right. As embarrassing as it is when you get it wrong. Alright, we're a little high on the pappies. That's okay. It's also not the world's longest runway, so we're going to get down.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Just come down. And we should be able to make this taxiway. We are. All right, everybody, welcome to Washington, D.C. National traffic, Appalachian 3251 has vacated runway 19 or taxiing to parking via Mike Kilo 2. Mike Juliet Kilo 2, Appalachian 3251. I think we're on Mike. I guess I have real scenery here. I can look. Yeah, Mike. That is one thing, that when you have the real scenery with real taxi instructions, because the rest of the sim hasn't, it's sometimes hard to convince yourself or remind yourself to pay attention to them. Yeah, we'll go ahead and park up here at looks like spot 26. Bring flaps up, APU on. All right, well, thanks for coming along on this flight from Nashville to Washington National Airport. We are just trying to do some more stuff, more regular flying, more VATSIM flying. In particular, I've been really liking the CRJ. It's been a lot of fun. And this was just a good kind of quiet Friday afternoon flight with a kind of quiet VATSIM, and sometimes that's nice. You get to focus on flying the airplane, but getting a little bit of ATC involved too. So, all very good, all very fun. Thanks for coming along. This has been VFR. Take it easy, y'all.
Don't sink. Don't sink. Don't sink. Don't sink.
500.
Don't sink.
400.
Don't sink. Don't sink. Don't sink.
300.
Don't sink.
200.
Don't sink. Don't sink.
100.
Don't sink.
50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Don't sink. Don't sink. Don't sink.